Hello everybody, this is your host, Kisway, and welcome back to another video. This is just the intro for now, so skip ahead to whatever time is on my screen right now if you want to go ahead and get into it. But yeah, this is the intro. Now, I've done a video like this in the past regarding fast food, but now I wanted to do a musical-based Mac Miller one. Now, out of all the artists, you must be asking, why Mac Miller? And the reason I say that was because I find something in his music that is just orgasmic, I guess. There's a few artists I find like this, such as Tyler the Creator and Lil Peep. Maybe you could throw Juice WRLD in there, but it's just this unique sound to it that is just attracting to me, and that's why I chose him. Now, I've already separated from his, I guess, old mixtapes to his newer stuff, starting out with Kids. I've also included Live from Space in there, and I'm also doing the re-released version of Faces. So as I go through this, I'm going to have to cut the video and re-listen to them all, so you'll probably see me in different clothes as I will be recording on a different day, just a heads up. But yeah, I'm going to try to be doing this with as little bias as possible. And what I mean by that is I personally have a favorite for Kids, let's see, Swimming, and Circles. And the rest of them I just kind of, I would just, throw in the garbage can. But when I do have bias like this, I will point it out, such as I did now. And I also will be ranking the album based on the album itself, its entirety, the message it's trying to send, and not just on the individual songs itself, such as Kids, where you have Senior Skip Day, and let's just say I like that song, so I'll just rate, the album like amazing. No, I'm not gonna do that. Rate it on the whole album itself, disregard all the songs that I have a liking to, I guess. But without further ado, thank you for watching and enjoy the video. Alright, now first off in the ranking is Kids. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this one and put I'm gonna put it in the goo for now, because I would say a low goo, because I think Kids, also known as Kicking Incredible Dope Shit, is a very oddly produced album that makes the album in itself pretty beautiful. And I don't think an album such as Blue Slide Park would have made him blow up that Kids have, such as The Spins on Spotify. It is one of his most liked videos, and that's including all his songs from all his other albums itself. So in Kids, I mean, he had to be doing something. But Kids, it has this like just got out of high school, fuck shit, party, drugs, let's live it up type style to it, and that's why I like it so much, is because it's just literally just being a kid and having fun. The samples of Fireflies and I think Everybody Loves the Sunshine thrown into it, mixed in with his dope intro, I think, with when he was like, when you're young, not much matters, all you have is music. That's really how I feel. I feel like music is like half my life and I feel like it's a part of everyone. You have his Nikes on My Feet, Senior Skip Day, The Spins, Kool-Aid and Frozen Pizza, Knock Knock, all these upbeat, just infamous songs, as I would put it, on this album just makes it so good. Also, another reason why I would put it at goo is because I feel like a thing this album doesn't do very well is give us any insight on the future of Mac Miller. And although it is a 2010 album and back then this shit was bopping, all these other albums that he has, or I'm not going to say all his other albums, but I would say Blue Slide Park, which I'm going on to next, kind of feeds into Kids, and that's what this album, I guess, fails to do. You could put it vice versa too. You could say Blue Slide Park was Mac's fault in trying to make something new or recreate something. I don't know what he was doing, honestly, but I feel like he got Blue Slide Park as inspiration from what he was writing in Kids. But also, I don't think Blue Slide Park would be a big drop compared to Kids. So I feel like Blue Slide Park was just like I'm a rapper now, let's go type of shit to it. But I really don't think that any of these albums other than maybe Best Day Ever could really come in comparison to how this was made. And he also tries to talk about drugs and having fun in Blue Slide Park and a little bit of Macadelic, but I don't feel like it does as well as he did in Kids, where he's just talking about getting high and just enjoying life. I feel like he does that pretty well in this. There's something about this album that just makes it so fun to listen to, and just makes me want to, go outside and just say fuck it and just have a good time. So yeah, Kids, that's a goo. Kicking incredibly Kicking incredibly dope shit. That's gonna remain here for now, but let's move on to Blue Slide Park. Next up we have the Blue Slide Park. I'm going to put Blue Slide Park in I'm gonna say bad, honestly. I don't think it's completely god awful. I don't want to say it's it's just a bad album, honestly, because I feel like in this album he tries to carry on this Kids look of I guess thing, where it's just like it doesn't seem like much has changed in him. It's the same beats, I'd say, same flow, same story, but just different lyrics about being a kid and just on his fuck shit, I guess. You have the whole track and it just doesn't seem, it just feels really inconsistent. It doesn't feel like there's like a storyline in between it or anything. Like the songs in the album individually aren't really half bad, but I don't really see a correlation on how they relate to Blue Slide Park in general. And there is a commentary version that I listened to on this as well to try and get a better understanding of this. I had to listen to this multiple times to be able to understand it, but you have to actually like pay attention to the lyrics to understand them, I guess. And he's spitting bars, don't get me wrong, but the flow is just weird, and it's just like full throttle 24/7, where it's just like chill. Like the best way I could describe this album is one of those like good ideas in your head, and then you put it on paper and it's just terrible. Or just like that sounds good, let's rap that. Like for me personally, I enjoyed Under the Weather, Of the Soul, and Missed Calls. I thought those three were pretty good because he slowed it down a little bit, got a bit lyrical. I enjoyed it. I was kind of chilling right there, but I would say those are just a few examples. But I would say throughout the rest of the album, it was just kind of boring because it was just the same, the same thing. But anyway, that's Blue Slide Park for you. Next up is Macadelic. Alright, next up is Macadelic. Now, I'm gonna put Macadelic behind Blue Slide Park, as saying Blue Slide Park is better than Macadelic. The reason I put it right there is because he had Blue Slide Park, and then that's understandable, but I would have expected his next album, I guess, to be somewhat better, but it really just it didn't improve much from there. Because in Kids to Blue Slide Park, you could see the Party Mac Miller in here, and then him like slowly straying away from it in Blue Slide Park a little bit, with a few slow tracks, I guess you would say. And then Macadelic, he kind of exits the Party Mac, but it's still there in a way. Like it doesn't sound like anything new that we've heard of him. As Anthony Fantana said, or The Needle Drop, it's boring, monotone, and just repetitive. There's really nothing new in this album that sticks out to me, and to a certain extent, it's just very it's I don't want to say annoying to listen to, but there's again like Blue Slide Park, there's like no correlation. Macadelic, I really don't even know what it's supposed to be about. So what I'm saying is it's basically the same thing as Blue Slide Park, except it's even more boring in my eyes. I'm sure you can flip-flop these, or even some people like Macadelic or Blue Slide Park even more and either bump one of these up, but for right now I'm just keeping them right here because I feel like they're both the same. The only biased good song I think is on there is Fight the Feeling with him and Kendrick. I like the music video. I think it's really I think I just love listening to it. And then in Desperado, the beginning with the electric sounding guitar, I guess, sounded pretty good. Thoughts from a Balcony, I thought sounded pretty good because it actually had somewhat of a story to it. And then the two tracks, The Question and The Morning After, we see him touching on, I guess, his depression, early depression. I'm not sure kind of interpret it as, because he just kind of ponders and starts questioning the question where he's just asking, hoping one day this all makes sense. But that's going to do it for Macadelic for now. Don't really have much thoughts and opinions on Macadelic and Blue Slide Park, as they're both really the same thing, and it's hard for me to decipher them as an actual album, lyrically and just musically overall. Alright, next up on the list is watching movies with the sound off. Now I'm gonna put this in, we're gonna put him right here for now. I don't think it's better than Kids, but I don't think it's, you know, anywhere close to as worse as Blue Slide Park and Macadelic. I think this album shows overall improvement with just production, lyrics, flow, just kind of everything in general. It's like a middle ground Mac, I guess you would say, and there's no like frat right out of high school, you know, just like this party Mac that I hear in it. It sounds, in the second part of Red Dot, I think it was a small clip where it said he was Easy Mac with the cheesy raps, who is Mac Miller? And I feel like this perfectly defines what this album is, because, you know, Kids is like Easy Mac is, well, to me, I know that in the past all these albums down here says Easy Mac right here, but I feel like Kids and Blue Slide Park and Macadelic still had this Easy Mac to it. And then watching movies with the sound off is like a touch into who Mac Miller is. It's like a mix of, I guess, sad and happy. You got Claymation, which is like this upbeat, I personally love it, and then you have Remember, which is slowed down, and I honestly feel like this album could be, you know, put in a range in between here and up at least. I don't think it can go anywhere below bad, but yeah, it strays away from like this I'm famous Mac, all these problems, like as heard in Blue Slide Park, that's like basically all he talked about was, oh, I'm famous now, and he just kind of rapped about the same stuff. He strayed away from that in this album, from the first track, The Star Room, to the transition of I Know Who Am, I think it's what the song calls, transition to the second part. I think that sparked a good transition for the rest of his albums coming up. I feel like that's one of his, I got her producer talents. I know I don't know. Yeah, Objects in the Mirror, Remember, my personal favorite, Claymation. You got the Ariana feature and the Tyler feature, which is also my favorite. But yeah, overall, it's just kind of in the middle right now, because you have Faces coming up, Swimming, Circles, Best Day Ever, which I would consider that above this album. So that's why I'm just putting it there for now. But yeah, anyway, let's move on to Live from Space. Alright, Live from Space. You can call this an album or an EP. I'm gonna call it, I guess, an EP for now, just because I'm basing it off the last 5 songs. I just included it because I thought the last 5 songs were pretty good, honestly. I'm gonna stick it right here on just because it's, I would consider it an EP. So I don't get as much information, but the 5 songs that were on it, everything but Black Bush was pretty good. It's got a few cool tracks on it. It's got Exile, which is nice, Earth, which is just a pure vibe in my opinion, and then In the Morning, which features Sid and Thundercat, which has some great instrumentals. Again, Black Bush, it just doesn't get there for me. And there's also a Future feature in there. And I thought that this little EP was just a pure vibe in my opinion, so I just decided to include that. But alright, now I'm going to move on to the Faces re-released version. Alright, next up we have Faces. This is going to be controversial where I put this, but I'm going to put them in Goo. I think this album has around 25 tracks. It's an hour and a half long. and it's just the hardest for me to understand because of the instruments and the flow and the lyrics that he's displayed for us already. But it's also an album where I can dive into the songs a little bit more, such like I did in Kids and not so much with Macadelic and Blue Slide. I don't think it's a bad album at all. It's one of those albums where you get done listening to it and you can just hit the replay button with no problem, and it's really just my ability to understand it in general makes it hard for me, I guess. Like, the best way I could describe this album is it has this like upbeat remastered sound of Kids, but the lyrics are like watching movies with the sound off. The features on it for me were 50-50. You got Schoolboy, Earl, Mike, and Rick Ross, and it's just a very layered album, I guess, with the 25 tracks on it. As I wrote down, I touched on Inside and Outside. In Malibu, they talk about death. Here We Go in Insomniac talks about, oh, he's the greatest. And I don't know, that just sounds corny to me. And then Friends, it's just this weird, I don't know, in the background it was like Miller Mac. It just bothered me. Angel Dust talks about insomnia, blackouts, and this like surreal experience. What Do You Do talks about growing up. It Just Doesn't Matter, I thought that was really cool, where he's just I forgot his name, but he's just screaming like, it just doesn't matter. I thought that was dope. And then you got the 3-banger Happy Birthday, Wedding, and Funeral. I've watched other album reviews and they usually put faces up at like amazing or great, but again, I've said this before, with these 2/3 down here, I think it'll be deserving of this or above Kids. I don't know. This is where like the controversy part comes in, because I like Kids a lot and I feel like it's just put together so well on its time. And he, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, his 5th one after it, and he comes out with something like this that's just sounds like a mixture of both of these. It's cool and all, but I don't know, it's confusing where to put this, saying that I would say it's on par with Kids. And even though we see like a better production, flow, lyrics, features, I just feel like it doesn't have that like uniqueness as Kids did. Alright, next up we have Good AM. I'm gonna shove it in the front, I guess, for now. This album, it comes in pretty strong with Doors and ends pretty strong with Little Dragons. But in this album, he just like displays like a no care attitude and like a get money, you know. But if you cut songs such as Perfect Circles and Ross out of it, you can kind of see where the rest of the album goes just based on a first few of his songs. So it's like predictable in a way. There's a few issues and, you know, a few good things about this album, such as, let me see, the ending of Rush Hour. I thought that was just unnecessary. The Weekend, it touches on finding a way to make it to the weekend type thing, and it's most of the songs in this album are like topic based. It's good that way because it has its own correlation. But you have songs like, you know, Perfect Circle, and then Ross, and then you throw in the Bag and When in Rome, and it's just like a complete mess. With In Rome and In the Bag, I feel like the album would be perfectly fine without it. To me, it just sounded like his old corny stuff, and it just made no sense to me at all. But let's talk about, I guess, my favorite highlights, which was Perfect Circle / Godspeed, because it kind of made me think about Kendrick's song Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst, where it had this it's just a long song, and it lyrically, that's just what it reminded me of. And then you have Ross, which is ROS, which is another one of my favorites. And then Ascension, it mentions a brand new me, quote unquote, and he also mentions a lot of tracks, like kind of refers to him in this album. And I've noticed when I hit this album that he mentions like heaven and hell and like God and devil like a lot throughout his songs. But yeah, that's really all I have to say about this album. And also, I changed up the SAD. I changed up these because it was bothering me. Alright, next up is Best Day Ever. Now, I'm gonna put Best Day Ever in the A tier. It just seems like a remastered version of Kids, I guess, in a way. It's just uplifting and positive, and I really enjoyed it. And instead of like this party Mac Miller, it's more of like a sensitive Mac type to it. Especially with the first track, Best Day Ever, and the bonus track of Best Day Ever. I enjoyed both of those pieces, and especially the line where it's like, no matter where life takes me, find me with a smile, or like, if it ain't about a dream, then it ain't about me. I just feel like he is more powerful with his lyrics, and he is more, I guess, aware. A few tracks I want to touch on is the infamous Donald Trump, Wear My Hat, with just like a story about I guess his girl wearing his hat. You have I'll Be There, which is just the whole song that seems like it's dedicated to the moms out there. And Play Your Cards, I think that's produced really well too. I feel like each song in this album has its own like unique story and taste to it. And you got Snooze, and I think Wake Up is the name on it, where it has this kid like upbeat vibe to it, but it has like its own spin on it. And honestly, I feel like Best Day Ever, the album, is not really talked about, I guess. Like, people know like the song Best Day Ever, but I feel like they don't know the album. Maybe it's just me, because I really I know Kids, I know Faces, but like I knew Best Day Ever, I never knew it was an album. Alright, now we have the Divine Feminine. As much as I tried to like this project, I don't know what it was about it, but it's, to me, just one of his, I don't want to say his worst project. I don't want to put F as in like, oh, this was the worst thing ever. I'm just putting F as like, out of all of these, the Divine Feminine being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, the 9th album release, and it being as bad as what I perceive it to be. I don't know. Other than Congratulations and Dang, which kind of set the pace for the album, mostly Congratulations, because it was sort of like a lovesick album in my eyes. On his other tracks, such as Planet, Soulmate, and We, it was just this odd beat, very consistent lyrics, flow. It just sounded like something that I just wouldn't listen to. Another thing about this album is, although it's a lovesick album, which is I guess the topic of it, it's oh yeah, you have to relate on like this love level of like Mac, what he's talking about, to understand it, which I feel like that's only for like, this album is only released for a specific crowd of people, which I guess it doesn't include me. And also his features were good, but almost like too good. Like, I feel like his features outshined him in a way. Ariana Grande, Anderson .Paak, I just feel like they did way better. And especially on God Is Fair, Sex Is Nasty, I feel like the second part, Conversation, was better than the actual song. But yeah, this was just an album that I couldn't really get into. But let me know your opinions on it, what you feel about it. But without further ado, let's go on to these two bangers. Alright, now the last two, we have Swimming, obviously S tier, and I'm gonna go ahead and put Circles in S tier along with it, because it's kind of like a combo. I feel like it's like a 2-in-1 type album right here. Now, alright, let's go over Swimming. So the reason I put Swimming in S tier and as, above Circles was because it's obviously, Mac's production. Circles he was working on, he didn't finish due to, his passing. So Swimming, this is a hard way to rank it, or a hard way to talk about it, because I can't find a bad song in it. Like, I really can't. Now, I got this quote, I guess, from a video, which I think it really shows the importance of Swimming. It says, "A story of Mac's acceptance of his flaws and his unsuccessful attempts to fix them." I feel like that is the best way to describe this album. He talks about the clouds a lot, and just kind of, he's just unorganized, and he just can't really come back to earth. Speaking of come back to earth, he says in that album that he was drowning, now he's swimming, and I would say in context that was because of his breakup with Ariana. Don't quote me on that. That's just kind of how I pictured it, and his like journey to recovery. And then next you have jet fuel, head in the water, no shower, no baptism. So he's just under the water right now. And then you have certified vibes such as hurt feelings, what's the use, and ladders, perfecto, which also talks about how treading waters, if he drowns he doesn't care, it ain't perfect but it's working. And yeah, the second part of perfecto is also like one of my favorites, but it ain't working or it ain't perfect but it's working. So again, his attempts at recovering and him trying to come back to earth. I don't know why I quote that song so much. I feel like the title just makes so much sense. You have the self-care. The title is basically what the song is about, self-care. I feel like the music video portrays it very well, of him just being buried underground, I guess, and him just kind of escaping it. And I also love the part 1 and part 2, the sudden transition. I feel like that was really beautiful. You have Small Worlds in 2009, which exposes, I guess, the realism, how realistic life can be. And then So It Goes, where it says, just like a circle, I go back where I'm from. So it sounds like he's just in a loop. And that's why I feel like swimming and circles go together, because I feel like they're interconnected. But anyway, let's move on to the circles. Alright, now we have circles, the final one. The way the video that I watched kind of described it as, that I feel like it's appropriate, is it says, this transitions his shortcomings to a resurrection story, not one of triumph, but one of contentness in the face of insecurity and burnout. And yeah, so let's do a little recap. So in swimming, he's accepting his flaws and acknowledging his unnecessary attempts to fix them. And then now he's kind of, content with them. Now he knows that, he can't fix them, and he's trying to get better, but he's just existing, I guess. This album touches on his love sickness, and he just kind of wants to be set free. In Surf, it says, water in the flowers, let's grow. And then Floating, he's talking about he just wants to get away. So he wants to be set free from the prison of swimming in circles itself. How I cannot be changed. Trust me, I tried. I just end up starting the line, drawing circles. When he tries to change or tries to get better, I guess, he just ends up right back to where he is. And that's why this album, I guess, is about his contentness and how no matter how hard he tries, he's just not getting anywhere. Good news. Tell me good news. It just sounds like he's like in the abyss. And then also in Woods, he expresses acceptance in the first line when he says, I think I make this planet feel like home. And then in Hand-Me-Downs, and That's on Me, it was pretty emotional, honestly. I'm not gonna lie. And then Once a Day, it shows the realism of the album. I also feel like that in Swimming in Circles, this is the most instrumental that he's been. Like, I feel like this is the best like instruments that he chose, and the way he portrays his what he's trying to say through his lyrics, I feel like that was one of his strong suits in music. And his, I guess, touching on his depression and emotional side was also one of his strong suits. But that's, I guess, my Mac Miller tier list. I want to apologize for me switching, like my room's just changing in the middle of recording. I'm currently moving right now. But you have Swimming in Circles, S tier, Best Day Ever, A tier, and B tier, Kids and Faces. Those can be interchangeable depending on how you feel about them. Then you have Objects in the Mirror, Life from Space. I think that's fine. And then D tier, you have Good AM, Blue Slide Park, and Macadelic. Or no, I want to say Blue Slide Park and Macadelic can be interchangeable. And then in F tier, Fail tier, you have The Divine Feminine. Now, I believe that all of these are in the right tier. Some of them can be interchangeable, I understand. But yeah, this is my in-depth album review. If you guys enjoyed this video and like more of this content, hit that like button, subscribe, and remember to stay sway.